everybody, my name is Kevin and welcome back to another album review. And today, I'm talking about the debut album from Pink Floyd, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Yep, surprise, I'm starting up the next discography review. It has been over 2 years since I last did one of these, and this one is going to be a very big one, because Pink Floyd has quickly become one of my favorite bands over the past year. And good lord, there's just so much to say about their music that it's really insane. So I just thought, I could just get into this discography review because honestly, I'm just giving myself something to do, and at least it's something interesting. But we do have to start all the way back in 1967, back when the band was more of a psychedelic rock band and fronted by lead vocalist and guitarist Syd Barrett. We also had bassist Roger Waters, drummer Nick Mason, and keyboardist Richard Wright. And, well, this album is very strange. It is very different from every single other Pink Floyd album because, well, it's Syd Barrett, and his vision and his songwriting is just so strange and so weird that, as I said, it just makes this album nothing like their other work in the future. But honestly, that's probably to this album's benefit because even though it is kind of dated, it's still an enjoyable listen. This was my first Pink Floyd album, and honestly, I don't know if it was a good start or a bad start because, as I said, it's nothing like the previous work, and I was already thinking about whether or not I really do enjoy this album because when I first heard it, I absolutely really liked it. And, well, when I come back to it now, I don't enjoy it as much, but I really still do enjoy it. There's definitely an experience here that you can't have anywhere else. Well, let's go down track by track, shall we? I'll give you this, the album does not screw up its opening, its middle section, and its ending. So, let's get into it. The album starts with Astronomy Dominé, which has become an iconic track by Pink Floyd, and yeah, it starts out with their early manager Peter Jenner reading out the names of planets through a megaphone. And honestly, this intro is probably one of the best album intros of all time. The way these megaphones sound effects sound, it just sounds amazing, and it's like Peter Jenner is really at the NASA station or something reading all this stuff out. And yeah, I really love this intro. And then the guitars come in, the drums come in, and also this beeping sound. And then Syd Barrett starts talking about space, I suppose, over some really memorable riffs that I really do like. And there's a bunch of random other parts in this track, but yeah, it never loses interest in me. I really do enjoy this one. Really great start to this album. Then Lucifer Sam is about as enjoyable, not as much, but it's still a really good track. It's about Syd's Siam cat called Lucifer, and it's very strange sounding, and that refrain is pretty catchy as well. That cat's something I can't explain. And then Matilda Mother is also pretty catchy, but honestly not one of my big favorites. I guess it's about Syd's mother and him wanting her to tell him more stories. And it sounds very strange, but honestly, it's honestly pretty nice. But Flaming is another one of my big favorites. It's, I guess about like a childish game like hide and seek or something, but it has more like fantasy world style elements like unicorns and buttercups. And this is probably a reference to LSD, because I forgot to mention that Syd Barrett was the only real drug user in the band, and that makes his vision what it is on this album, because LSD just basically makes everything for him, and yeah, it is a very weird track, but it's also quite chipper. Like, it's a very happy tune about hide and seek with all these fantasy elements, but as I said, it is kind of a reference to LSD. So it's strange, honestly, but I do enjoy it. And then Pow R Talk H is mostly an experimental instrumental with a lot of jazz elements and also very, very strange vocalizations, and Barrett demonstrates this early example of beatboxing. It sounds pretty creepy and very strange and abstract and not really all that catchy aside from maybe the beatboxing, but it's honestly strange enough to get away with it. And then Take Up Thy Stethoscope and Walk is about how music can heal people, which I guess it's true, and I really do enjoy the doctor bits at the beginning. But as I said, not one of my big favorites either. And then there's the elephant in the room that is Interstellar Overdrive, the 9.5 pure experimental classic, which has one heck of a riff on it. And yeah, the first 2 minutes is basically that riff and a few other instrumental parts, but then at the 2 minute mark, it starts to go into like this improvisational territory, which honestly, it just sounds really great. I really do enjoy this type of improvisational guitar things and synthesizer things. And as I said, it sounds good, honestly, and I do enjoy it. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who enjoys Tangerine Dream's debut album, even though it does not sound anything like their future material. And then at the final minute, the main theme comes back again, and the ending also sounds pretty good. But I gotta mention, the last 3 minutes. In the last 3 minutes, the song basically just jumps from one ear to the other a lot, like really quickly, and that makes the experience kind of weird. But it's probably to this song's benefit. It's one heck of a great song, and I really enjoy its improvisational structure. Like you can play it whenever you want. Honestly, just put the main riff on it, and then you can put like all kinds of other elements on it. Like one time in Belgium, Frank Zappa joined the band to perform a loose version of this track. And yeah, it's honestly pretty interesting what you could do with this song, but this album version is also just really great. Now this is where the album starts to lose me a bit. The Gnome is about, well, gnomes, and also one called Grimble Grumble, and it's about what they do during the day, and it's just a very low-key acoustic piece. Uh, and it's strange, and also probably another reference to LSD because it makes you see creatures that aren't real, such as gnomes. But honestly, it's cheery enough, I suppose. And chapter 24 is based on text from the ancient Chinese tome I Ching, or the Book of Changes, and it's also pretty weird, but it does have that pretty cool bass line in it. And the Scarecrow is probably the least interesting track on the album, honestly. It's about a scarecrow who doesn't care about anything, and Barrett compares himself to it. And yeah, it's just kind of strange. The percussion is cool, but other than that, it's not that interesting for me. Thankfully, though, the album ends with what is the track that basically sums up this entire record, Bike. Bike is, well, where to even start with this track? Like in the first half, Barrett talks to this girl about some things that he has, like a bike that he borrowed and a cloak that he doesn't think looks good on him. But if the girl thinks so, then it must look good. And he also talks about this homeless mouse that he calls Gerald, which is kind of irrelevant, but whatever. And also a clan of gingerbread men, because why not? And after all the verses, there's this refrain where he says that she's the kind of girl that fits in with his world and he could give her anything. And it's honestly very nice. I really do enjoy the tune to this one. And then the final verse is about this room of musical tunes, where he says that some tunes rhyme, some ching, but most of them are clockwork, and he wants them to go into the other room and make them work. And then that's where the second half of the track comes in, which is basically a piece of musique concrete, basically the other room that Barrett was talking about, which is like a bunch of, I don't know, gongs and bells and clocks and everything, all coming together in a weird kind of mishmash, and it is quite interesting to hear, and it actually sounds like a bike. And the song fades out with this tape loop of the band members laughing, but played at double speed and reversed. This is one heck of a great song. I will never forget it until the day I die. Oh, and did I mention that this is one of the catchiest songs Pink Floyd ever recorded? I know a mouse and he hasn't got a house, I don't know why I call him Gerald. So yeah, that is the Piper at the Gates of Dawn. On one hand, this is a very strange album, and if you want if you want to know about the dangers of using LSD, it's this entire record. Because it will make you see, like, I don't know, fantasy world creatures and gnomes and whatever. And it's also very strange sounding, and we aren't quite at the point where Pink Floyd is ready to change the world with their music. But this is still regarded as a psychedelic rock classic, and I'll have to agree. There's an experience here to be had that you can't find anywhere else. And yeah, it's pretty good, all things considered. Now, do I think this album is great? Probably not, but it's still one heck of a listen, and you should definitely go listen to it if you want to become a fan of the band. Though I advise you to probably listen to Dark Side or Wish You Were Here first, or something like that, or even some of their other early albums, which I will get to in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, Piper at the Gates of Dawn is a strange album, but honestly, it's a pretty good start to this band's career, and I think I am overall feeling a solid 7 out of 10 on it. But of course, this is all just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with anything that I have said, and if you have any opinions, you can leave them in the comments below. I am really interested to join like a rock community or something where we mostly talk about rock music, because I really do enjoy rock music. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you in the next few days, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.